how to take stress out of your thinking. The practical application. In the last video, we learned that we can view our life's situations without the accompanying threat of potential pain, which turns on the stress response. In this video, let's discover what the real root of the pain or discomfort is in stressful events or situations. Remember, almost every stress that you feel involves the thought of pain that you must either prepare for or try to avoid, even if it is one that has already happened. Think of a situation or event that you find very stressful. When you have one in mind, think about each of the steps of that event or situation, from its beginning to its natural end. Assess where any real pain happens during each step. Do not include psychological or emotional pain. Focus only on any real physical pain that happened or may happen to you. If you are thinking of a future event, follow it through to the imagined point where you feel there might be pain. For example, if you don't meet a deadline for an important project at work, what real pain have you imagined might happen? Follow this through to its logical end in your mind. What is your stressful event? What real pain has occurred, is occurring, or might occur? What steps will lead to the final real pain that you're trying to avoid? For example, if you don't complete the project, this may lead to getting reprimanded by your boss, which may lead to getting fired, which may lead to, well, who knows? Assess the likelihood that the final real pain that you imagined will really happen. For example, if the real pain of turning in a project later than its due date is losing your job, assess the true likelihood of that happening. Once you analyze the situation, you may realize that there is no need to activate the stress response because there is no physical threat. Yes, it might be an uncomfortable situation, but not physically dangerous. You realize that you are safe rather than threatened by some future pain that may or may not occur. Yes, you still need to deal with the consequences of the late project, but you can do it without turning on the fight or flight response. This might be an easy concept to accept intellectually. It is quite another thing to make it a working principle in our lives. We aren't trained to look at things this way. Even the language we commonly use reflects our underlying belief that outside forces are causing our stress. From our earliest days, we accept such common statements as these. This test is stressing me out. You make me mad. She's boring. He hurt my feelings. That kid is so irritating. Having the understanding that you are responsible for the stress that you experience is extremely important. It is important because whenever you feel stress, you can then remind yourself that you are interpreting the situation in a way that results in feeling stressed. It is your own doing. It is important because this understanding also gives you complete power to undo it. When you notice that you're feeling stressed, you can immediately take positive measures to do something about it. You can be in control. Dr. Stephen Covey made an extremely important comment in relation to this idea. He said, "If you think the problem is outside of you, that thought is the problem." Take a minute to let Dr. Covey's insight sink in. Now consider this cool little story about a man who comes upon his friend who is outside of his house on his hands and knees, frantically looking for something. The man asks his friend what he's doing. He explains that he lost his car keys. "Oh, well, tell me about where you think you lost them, and I'll try to help you find them." He answers, "I lost them somewhere inside the house." "Well, what are you doing looking for them out here?" His friend replies, "Because it's lighter out here." If you're ever going to get the upper hand on stress, you need to find the solution in the right place. And it has very little to do with what is happening in your environment. Instead, it's how you think about things. After viewing these videos that accompany Workbook 1, you now know that stress is the activation of the fight or flight response, or stress response. Exactly what triggers the stress response. That it's the threat thought that sounds like, uh-oh. What happens when the stress response turns on? How often it should be on? What happens in the body when it is on? The dangerous effects of chronic stress. That you can control their stress response. And you can turn it off. Now you're ready to learn how to prevent it from turning on altogether. Check out the next set of videos that focus on preventing your stress.